Welcome to Around the 412. We are part of allsteelers.com and proudly presented by Crowworthy, where winners are serving winners coast to coast with sports gambling, fantasy, and more. You can follow Crowworthy at Crowworthy Takes on Twitter, and you can visit us at crowworthy.com. You can also check out the Crowworthy Pittsburgh City page for podcasts just like this one's, blogs like us and others, and more. I'm Tyler, and with me as always is Smitty. What's going on, dude?
What is up? So this is the Bucks and Puck show. However, there's really only one thing to talk about with the Pirates that I want to bring up. So I just want to get your opinion on this. I want to get everybody's opinion on this, see where we're at right now, get a little temperature check on where we're at with this thing. Mm-hmm. So Pirates have the first overall pick, as we know. There's two really good pitchers at the same school, Al Leiter's son, Jack Leiter, and also Kumar Rocker. As of right now, who are you taking number one? And why?
Okay, now I see why you didn't ask me before we started the show.
I know, yeah. I said I was going to bring up one thing, and I didn't want to ask you, bring it up to you beforehand because I wanted to get your raw reaction and opinion.
Listen, honestly, that's tough because if you would have asked me this a month ago, I'm all in on Kumar Rocker. But then the way that Jack Leiter's been pitching, it's really tough to not say him or at least have his name in the mix with Kumar Rocker. I honestly don't know who I'd pick. Right now, I might lean Jack Leiter just by how he's been performing this year. I mean, they've both been outstanding. Jack Leiter threw a no-hitter. The day before that, Kumar Rocker had 14 strikeouts in a game. I mean, I don't think you could really go wrong with either one. I guess it just depends on which type of pitcher you want. I mean, I think they're a little bit different. Kumar, I think, has more of the size and can overpower the batters.
That's why I don't want to cut you off and
no, go for it,
because we're gonna have a little bit back and forth here. I feel like, but that's why I think Jack Leiter would have need to blow away Kumar Rocker this season and make himself no doubt the number one pick, because I think if it's even close, Kumar Rocker, because of his frame, the size that he presents, he will be the guy that they opt to go with, even if it's just a slight edge him when you look at the seasons that they have. And Sarge is right. Kumar Rocker has been the guy for about at least half of a year, probably longer than that. I mean, I feel like going back to last season, it's been this guy's the number one pick. But Jack Leiter, like I said, the son of a former pitcher, Al Leiter, who was very good in his own right. So he has the pedigree to him. I just think when you talk about the frame that Kumar Rocker has, and that, I saw somebody talking about this, and it's a very good point. Because of how big he is, he doesn't have to put as much into his throws to have the velocity that he does, and there's less wear and tear on his elbow and shoulder because of that. So maybe you don't have, it seems like Tommy John is so common right now, and everybody gets it at some point. Maybe with that less pressure on that elbow, maybe, he wouldn't have to have that. I don't know. It's just, I feel like you're nitpicking when you're talking about trying to pick one of these two, which one your preference is with. But I think if it's close, by the time that the draft rolls around, they're going to lean Kumar Rocker.
All right, Kumar Rocker is listed at 6'5", 245 pounds, and this is on Vanderbilt's website. And then Jack Leiter is listed at 6'1", 205 pounds. So it's not like Jack Leiter's tiny, but when you compare him to Kumar Rocker, he is tiny. And I feel like it's very common to see nowadays, pitchers, these big guys that can just overpower batters, I feel like. And so I think that, you're right. That's the way that I think the Pirates would lean, but it's such a tough decision. I mean, I feel like, now maybe I'm wrong in saying this. Of course, Jack Leiter was probably going to be a top 3 to 5 pick anyway, but going into this draft, I feel like it's kind of like a Joe Burrow situation where it's he's kind of throwing his hat in the mix with the number one pick, and then by the end of the season, which one is it going to be? Because it's kind of like with college football, it was all in on Tua. It was we were all in on Kumar Rocker last fall, and now Jack Leiter's showing up, and it's making it more interesting. So I don't know which would be the best for the Pirates. I mean, I know the fan base is pretty split. I see it's split on Twitter. I know certain guys want Jack Leiter and certain guys want Kumar Rocker. And I'm right now, I'm not really leaning either way. I just kind of want to see how each of them play out this year, because I mean, they're both killing it right now. But it's going to be a tough decision for the Pirates with that number one overall pick.
Yeah, and people have thrown a couple of their names in there or tried to, like Jordan Lawler, the high school shortstop. Matt McClain out of UCLA is another shortstop, or like because it's the Pirates, everybody's always going to throw in a catcher. Adrian Del Castillo out of Miami, and for me, it's a 2-guy race for number one. It's between those two, and you're right because like going back to like the beginning of this whole thing, like when I first started hearing Kumar Rocker's name, it was Kumar Rocker 1, but then you had like Jaden Hill at LSU. That was the guy that I heard more than Jack Leiter, and now it's like Jack Leiter's like neck and neck with Kumar Rocker, and now the only question is does he pass him up by the time the draft rolls around? Sarge just asked us a question I see. Have you guys seen how good J-Mo has been doing in spring training? Also, question, do you take performances in spring training with a grain of salt, or do you actually think it's important? I have seen what Jameson Tyler has been doing. Well, recently. I don't know what he was doing, at the beginning of spring training, but I have seen his recent performances. As far as taking it with a grain of salt or how much stock I put into it, I'll say it depends on who the player is. And what they're trying to accomplish. For a guy like Jameson Tyler, who's, didn't pitch last year, is coming back from injury, I do think it's very important for him to have a good spring training. And also he's part of a new organization. So for those two reasons, I think it is, very encouraging, and it's something that you want to see as a Yankees fan, how he is doing and that he is pitching well. So
I'm just laughing. I'm looking at the stats for Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker so far that they put up this year. Mm-hmm. And Jack Leiter, just going across, he's got a .31 ERA. In 29 innings pitched, he has 49 strikeouts.
Yeah, doesn't he have like one more strikeout and one more walk than Rocker?
Yeah. And they're like his whip is .621. And then like Kumar Rocker, .58 ERA, 31 innings pitched, 48 strikeouts. .677 whip. I mean, like runs against per 9 or runs against in 9 innings, .87 for Rocker and .62 for Leiter. I mean, these guys are just studs, and the fact that they're both at Vanderbilt is crazy.
Yeah, I know. Well, did you want to, I don't know if you had anything to add to Sarge's question here, but I guess also what I want to say is, so yeah, for like Jameson Tyler in New York now, after not pitching last year, I think it is important for him to have a really good spring training. Whereas like I look at, Jake DeGrom for the Mets, and I'm like, I could care less what his spring training results are.
Yeah, I think it's important for certain players. Like you said, with Jameson Tyler, him coming back off that injury, it's important to see how this guy's going to perform. But with other guys, it's like, doesn't really matter because you could perform lights out in spring training. Like I'm trying to think of which spring training it was, which year it was. It was either I would guess.
Well, look at what Kevin Newman and Adam Frazier are doing right now in spring training. Like, do you think that those numbers are going to translate the way that they are in spring training?
Well, I'm thinking like I think it was 2016 was Kutch hit like 8 home runs in spring training. And then at the start of the season, he was like ice cold.
And if you're right about it being 2016, that was the year that he kind of fell off too.
Yeah, so like he hit 8 home runs in spring training. I remember that because I was like, okay, this dude's going to hit like 30 this year, and then I don't even know if he hit 20. So yes and no, it just depends on the player. If a guy that is trying to prove something or is trying to come back from an injury, then yeah, you want to see something. But if it's a guy that's already established or guys that are already like just going to be on the team and you kind of know that already, I really don't think spring training means anything. It is what it is. It's a good warm up, but it doesn't really tell me anything about those guys.
Yeah, I think it's, again, the guys with the question marks, the young guys and the guys bouncing back from or looking to bounce back from injury. As far as like the established guys, I don't think it means a whole lot because guys will go in there just trying to see, like, for example, they just want to see what their fastball's doing, and they'll only throw fastballs that game. They might get shelled because the results don't matter, but they're just working on their fastball that game. So, but we'll leave it at that. It's encouraging for Yankees fans, though, to see what Jameson Tyler's doing. I hope it translates for him. I mean, he's, it's a shame how things all played out in Pittsburgh. We didn't get to see him as much as we would have liked and didn't really get to see him, Cole, and Glass now, like that 3-headed monster we thought we were going to have at all. Mm-hmm. But I hope it works out in New York for him. So I'm glad that him and Garrett are back together.
Yeah, and we only have, 9 days until opening day?
Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm happy. I mean, I'm happy the baseball's back. I'm not expecting much from the Pirates, but I'm happy to watch it. We just bought our tickets for the first game that we're going to today.
Yeah, true. That's the second game of the season, right?
At home it is.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry.
Yep.
Second the home games. Okay, so let's jump into Penn stuff now. Injuries. They're hitting the Pens hard right now. It seems like as quickly as they got healthy, here they are again. And the weird thing is it's shifted though, because before it was on the back end. The defense. We're playing guys. We're having to get like Yannick Weber off waivers and play him on the back end. Now you look at the forward group, and you have like a really good line at the top. Obviously, one of the best lines in hockey. That second line is serviceable. They're an NHL line. They're good. They're good players, at least not their own. We'll see how they mesh together. Third and fourth line, you got nothing right now. I mean, you got pretty much
Literally
like beer
nothing.
league lines. Yeah, you got like AHL talent. Evan Rodriguez is to me the only one that really like should be in the lineup when healthy. Even though I will say I do have to give him a little bit of credit. Freddie Gaudreau hasn't looked bad to me, and he at least is willing to shoot the puck. He has some speed through the neutral zone. He can turn defense to offense. I think he creates space for himself. So he showed me a little something. But still, when we're healthy, he's not a guy that's going to be in the lineup.
Well, when we're healthy, I think if Jankowski's going to center that fourth line, normally I would rather play Gaudreau at center. I think
you can definitely make the
more
argument.
than him.
And I would be on board with that. I don't see it happening, but yeah, I would definitely I would be fine with that being the case, and I would campaign for that to happen. I just Jankowski has shown nothing since those first 2 games of the season. Like again, Gaudreau, at least in these last couple games, with a line that's completely makeshift, like these guys have not played together, has at least created some opportunities for himself. I mean, it looks like those guys are just playing all individual hockey. They're not even playing together. But
I mean,
you mean Christmas.
I want them to play Redeem Zahorna because they called him.
Yeah, he rotated in a little bit today. So
yeah, I want them to actually play him because let's be honest, the bottom 2 lines suck. Every single one of those players, except for Rodriguez can be serviceable on a normal fourth line, but especially with the players that he's playing with, there's no way he's going to generate anything. It's literally just hot trash. And so Zahorna, he's had 9 points in 11 games in Wilkes-Barre this year. And with Czech, he had 22.
His first year. I think it's important to add that it's his first year playing hockey in North America because it's a lot different. And for him to be able to make that, for him to be able to make that transition. I mean, going back to when we saw Juuso Riikola first debut here, and we're wondering how that transition would look to him. Now we're talking about a forward as opposed to a defenseman, but we know that transition's not easy. So for him to be doing as well as he is in Wilkes-Barre, I think that's encouraging.
Yeah, and I just with the way Sullivan talked about shaking up the lines today, which is what they were doing with the lines. They were moving players around. I mean, if you really want to shake it up, play someone that's brand new. I really don't think there's any downside to it. You literally get absolutely nothing from that fourth line and third line, for that matter of fact. That you're just relying on your top 2 lines to do everything.
So if you're campaigning for Gaudreau to play over Jankowski, does that mean you want Zahorna to come in for Jankowski as opposed to Gaudreau?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I mean, I again, you're not going to get an argument from me. I've been on board with Jankowski needs to sit. I don't know what it is with him, because I was talking even with DK. I don't know if you saw our conversation on Twitter, but Jankowski looked good in those first 2 games. It wasn't just because he scored points. He looked fast. He looked good defensively, which is something that's been a part of his game the entire time. Even when he hasn't had the offense, he's always been a good defensive player, but he's had none of that since his first 2 games of the year. And I don't know if it's a mental thing. I don't know what it is, but he needs to sit at least for a little bit.
I just can't justify playing him anymore. I was watching the game with Anthony on Sunday, and I was looking at some of the plays that these bottom 6 guys were doing, and I'm like, you could literally pay me to do that. Just skating into the zone and shooting and completely missing the net. I could do that. So there's no excuse for them anymore. It's not like they need warmed up. Literally, you were warmed up to start the season. That was your best 2 games. You've been hot trash ever since. You need to be coming out of the lineup. I mean, your possession metrics are terrible. He has a 44.5% Corsi percentage. You're just garbage.
That might be better than Sam Lafferty, but yeah, it's got to be amongst the worst.
I mean, the entire team, for the most part, or at least the entire bottom 6, is just terrible. They get hemmed into their own end so easily, and they can't get out of it. And then if they happen to get into the offensive zone, they miss the net, or they just lose the puck. There's literally no offensive generation whatsoever from those guys.
Yeah, it's been frustrating to watch. But so why are they in this situation? That's what we started out trying to talk about, but we just got on a tangent there. Gino out week to week, and you hear Sullivan talk about it, and it's just like mixed answers because it's week to week, and then it was we're encouraged that it's not going to be as long as we thought, but then it was like hope he's back in time, like before the season ends. So
Yeah.
I don't know what to make of this, but depending on however that evaluation is gone, you would think that they have some type of timeline for him other than just week to week, right? At this point, like you would think that the Penguins brass, and I don't know if how bold the front office is going to be on this. They have to make some type of move though if Evgeny Malkin is not coming back anytime soon.
You have to look at how they played over the past few games without him in the lineup.
3 points in 3 games versus New Jersey. I mean, that's not going to cut it.
No, and the fact that you have Jared McCann as your second line center, but just to make it even worse, you have Teddy Bluger out as well. So your center depth right now is just terrible. So they definitely have to make a move if these guys are going to be out longer term. And they said it on the broadcast on Sunday. I can't remember the exact amount of games missed they have this season, but over an 82 game schedule, the only year that was higher than it was 2011-12 or
I thought it was 13-14.
13-14.
Yeah, it would be like equal to like 400 something over an 82 game season.
Yeah, it's ridiculous the way that the Penguins. And this is not just a new thing. It's not like since 13-14 we've been healthy. I feel like the past 3 to 4 years we've been dealing with this every single year.
Yeah, I think that we talked about it a little bit on the last show, but like even the second of the cup runs, lost Letang, didn't have him for that second one to repeat. So it's not even like those cup teams, they were fortunate that it wasn't like Crosby or Malkin going down. But if you remember, even in 15-16, Malkin was hurt at the beginning of the playoffs. He came back in that first series.
That's what created the HBK line.
Yeah. So, even the years that they won those cups, like they've every year there's something. And like I said, it finally seemed like they got healthy on the back end. They won on like a 6-game win streak. And now the forwards are just going down because we didn't talk about it yet. Brandon Tanev also. The last show we were talking about him, the getting kicked out of that game versus Boston and talking about the penalty. Well, he got hurt as well. He played the next game, right? But then all of a sudden he's hurt somehow. And he's listed as day-to-day. He was apparently a game-time decision on Sunday, but now he wasn't even on the ice today for practice. So how do you go from being a game-time decision to not even being around to practice?
I don't know. I don't know if they were just being precautionary and hoping that he's a game-time decision tomorrow. But
he's going to be listed as a game-time decision, but the fact that he didn't practice today, I wouldn't be too hopeful he's going to be in the lineup.
Yeah, it's just like insult to injury at this point. It's just how many guys are coming out. I feel like the only thing that is encouraging right now is the video that I saw of Zucker doing drills on his own. I think he looked pretty good for how serious we thought that injury was. We're talking about a guy that we didn't know if he was going to come back before the playoffs. And from what I saw in the video, obviously it's not live practice, but he looked pretty good, and he looks like he had his legs under him.
Yeah, I think that he's probably moved his own timeline up. Of course, it's hard to say. You don't know how the recovery is going, everything like that. But I agree with you. Like when you watch what we've seen of him, I would expect that he's going to be back, sooner than the end of the season at this point. I don't want to put a timeline on it and be totally off, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility we see him come back now before Gino.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, the timeline of these guys coming back, how that's going to affect what they do at the trade deadline. Because we've mentioned it before.
That's why, like, I wanted to. That's why I said about Malkin. Like, you would think by now they have some type of idea, like what the injury is that he's dealing with, and how long is it going to take to get back on the ice. But like, based off that information, that's how they need to approach the trade deadline, I would think. Like, do they have to go for something bigger than just the bottom 6 guys we've been talking about? Like, do they need to find what's the idea if Malkin's not coming back anytime soon? Who plays second line? Is it going to be Jared McCann?
Maybe. I feel like I just keep going back to the draft capital that are not draft capital, trade capital, literally everything that the Penguins have, they don't have a lot of it. And if they're going to be in the same situation where like they're going to be missing Zucker, they're going to be missing Malkin. We don't know what Bluger's going to be coming back, but like if they're missing all those guys, especially Malkin and Bluger, because those are two of your centers that you rely on. I mean, you're going to have to look to make a trade, but it's going to be tough because you just don't have a lot to work with. And then at the same time, you're going to have to like shell out some money in the process. So this trade deadline is going to be a tricky one for Ron Hextall in his first one with the Penguins.
Well, that's the thing. You bring up the money part of it, and the only way that they could really get that part of it alleviated would be if one of these guys is going to miss the rest of the regular season, and you can, get rid of that their salary cap number for the rest of the year, because when the playoffs start, it doesn't matter.
Hey, maybe you can just do a Kucherov and be like, hey, pretend your hips hurt.
Who you gonna do that with? I mean,
I don't know. Whichever one is going to be out longer, just be like, okay, you're going to be healthy, but we're not going to play you. And because that's basically what Kucherov's doing at this point. That's how they stay under the salary cap.
Have you given this really like any legitimate thought though? The idea of Evgeny Malkin not coming back in the regular season, or at least until very late. Like, what do they need to do in your mind in order to? You're not going to be able to replace him, but like,
no.
How do you go about that?
You're going to have to. I mean, the trade deadline is going to be a more interesting situation because you're going to have to look for a guy that's capable of playing in the top six, but isn't probably making top six money. And that's the issue, is that most of the guys you would want to trade for that could replicate, not replicate exactly what he was doing, but be in that role, they're going to make a decent amount of money. So it's a tough situation because originally, if Malkin's not hurt, we're just looking for a guy that can be a filler in the top six, add some scoring touchdown there, or bottom six, excuse me, and then move on, and hopefully you just fill out the lines accordingly. But now with the center depth issue that you're having, and I don't know what they're going to do, because if you're fighting for a playoff spot and you truly want to make the playoffs this year, then you have to do what you can to get in. And with the way that the Penguins are playing, especially over these last 3 games against the Devils, like you said, they have 3 points in 3 games against the Devils. That's not good. And they're not going to be able to sustain this type of play for long and be able to stay afloat. So they have to address it sooner or later.
Well, here's the good thing is the Flyers just falling off a cliff. I mean, that's going to help the Penguins.
Carter Hart
at least try to
right now.
Yeah, it's going to help the Penguins at least, try to navigate through this. I think right now, though, like Crosby, that line needs to put the team on their back, and you need some scoring from the back end on defense. Like, you're not getting anything from the bottom 6. We need to stop expecting anything to happen from those guys. But I think that there is some hope. Like, John Marino needs to start putting up some more points. There's Chris Letang was on a nice streak. He needs to get back to that level. Like, those guys that can chip in offensively from the back end. Mike Matheson potentially needs to start adding some more, I don't want to say scoring goals, but making things happen in the offensive zone to create goals.
I need Pettersson to stop being bad.
One of the guys for Crowworthy actually just wrote an article about Marcus Pettersson recently. Like, is it time to trade him? So go give that a read. But yeah, the reason that I bring that up is because I know that I'm much higher on Jared McCann than a lot of people. To relate him to anybody that's just like a Steeler fan, I think that the Penguins see Jared McCann as the Steelers defense sees Cam Sutton. I think he's that versatile chess piece that they feel like they can move anywhere and he can contribute. While Evgeny Malkin's out for however long that's going to be, I think he is the second line center. And I think that's why you don't pigeonhole yourself into giving up too much to acquire a guy for the top 6, assuming that Jason Zucker is relatively close, because when he comes back, even if you don't have Evgeny Malkin at that time, you can still have Jared McCann centering Kasperi Kapanen and Jason Zucker, or if they feel like Zucker would play better up with Sid, if Zucker's still not getting anything going, he jumps up with Sid and you drop down, Jake. Even though that top line, man, I don't want to touch it if you don't have to, but I just feel like those guys can go anywhere and play with anybody. Like even Brian Rust, man, he can go up and down the lineup and he makes whoever he's playing with better. He's not just a goal scorer anymore.
Is he going to make Mark Jankowski and Sam Lafferty better? Can anybody?
Well,
can Sid make them better?
He would make them better. He wouldn't make them good, but they'd be better than they are right now.
Would Mark Jankowski score a goal if he was on the wing with Sid?
Yeah. For just one game. Oh, not for if it's just one game. Like he's gonna have a little bit of time with them.
Yeah. I like
Stubbs was told to chime in, so he's in here now.
Well, I like McCann. I like him a lot. I think he has a lot of skill. The only thing that I have an issue with is not necessarily McCann. It's the chemistry between these players, because obviously you can put like great players together. That doesn't mean they're going to play well together.
Right.
We've seen that multiple times with Sid. We think we have a winger with him, and he doesn't play well with Sid, so he automatically becomes Malkin's winger. Look at Kasperi Kapanen. He played so well with Malkin. It sucks that Malkin got injured because they were doing so well with the like 5 or 6 games before that. And I don't know that Kasperi Kapanen is going to have that same chemistry with Jared McCann. Hopefully he does, and they figure that out. But that's something that you're not easily going to be able to replicate.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I just think, if you don't see Jared McCann as your second line center and you're like, oh, we need to go get a top 6 center, they're going to end up giving up way too much. And that's just something I don't see. And we've talked about it before, and we're on the same page with this. Like Hextall and Burke, I don't see them selling the farm for anybody this year. Like you don't just pick up a team in the middle of the season and decide to go all in like that. And granted, like I know that this team is a very good team when healthy. And they're not that right now. But still, like they're still going through their evaluation process. That's what we said. Depending on how this season goes, it could be a very interesting offseason. But again, what we're talking about right now, just don't see them pulling the trigger on anything major, like going out and getting whoever the big fish is considered to be for the top 6.
Yeah, I don't either. It's not worth it for me.
I think as big as they would go would be like, and his trade value is just skyrocketed since we first started talking about him, because Rickard Rakell started putting up points in Anaheim. But like Mantha, or like Arvidsson, those would be as big as I could see them going. I'm not even sure about that.
Yeah, and those guys have cap numbers. I mean, Arvidsson makes 4.25. Mantha makes like 5.7.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would rather have the Arvidsson cap number, but I just don't see the Penguins being able to make moves this year like they have in previous years. They don't have the money to be able to do it. They have to. They're like Mark Spezzin's going to be offloaded if they make a trade like that. I feel like that's kind of inevitable at this point, unless you're trading someone else out of nowhere. It's kind of written on the wall that that's the guy that you're trading. And then we've said it multiple times: don't have picks, you don't have prospects, and the prospects that you do have, you don't want to touch. So I don't really expect much for April 12th.
Ricky just came in with a name that's been thrown around a lot, Bobby Ryan. I mean, that's a guy like a year or two ago, I would have said, no, don't touch him. But he's played pretty well in Detroit. I think he'd be cheap. I don't think he'd cost a lot trade-wise either. I don't think Detroit would be asking for a whole lot. And it's Detroit. We just talked about the Anthony Mantha situation. Literally, it's Dylan Larkin, and then there's everybody else. And everybody else is on the table available for trade. So
Bobby Ryan,
I think that's something to explore.
Is a rental, but he's only on a $1 million contract.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he would cost much at all. Like, we've gone back and forth with this, and again, it's something that we're on the same page about. We don't like trading for rentals, or at least giving up like high value assets. But this is a case where I don't think the Penguins would be. Like, I think you're talking about, I don't know, like a low round pick, or a guy that's never going to touch the NHL that's in the minors right now.
Yeah, and he has in 29 games, he has 6 goals, 7 assists, 13 points. Which I mean,
barbershops in here now.
I can live with that. If he's gonna be on your bottom 6, I can live with those numbers, especially if he's putting up those numbers playing in Detroit. Detroit is complete dog water. So,
who's he come here and play with?
Well,
okay, you would hope that Malkin comes back in this scenario, right? So Jared McCann and
Evan Rodriguez,
maybe.
I guess.
Yeah,
I feel like Evan Rodriguez is just like he's just like the odd man out of the situation, where it's like we want to keep these 3 lines together. So you're playing with McCann and whoever the other winger is. So like you really don't have anywhere else to go.
I just love what's happening in the comments right now. It's not related to anything that we're talking about, but
I'm just happy people are here. But yeah, so like Tanev, Bluger, Aston Reese, that's a line. Jake, Sid, and Rust, that's a line. And then you have, assuming everyone's healthy, Malkin, Zucker, and hopefully Kapanen all together playing well. That's a line. And then the obvious is McCann centering that line. Rodriguez is the wing, and then whoever is going to be the left wing. And then everybody else can get sent off to the moon because they suck.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, you have, like 5 guys right now in your bottom 6 that shouldn't even be on the roster?
Literally, the Penguins, you want to know why they have 3 points in the last 3 games? It's because the New Jersey Devils are playing with a better roster than the Penguins are right now. It's just the Penguins have more top-end talent right now than the New Jersey Devils do. But overall, New Jersey's team is probably better right now than the Penguins is assembled because the Penguins are playing with half of an AHL roster.
Speaking of the Devils, I got an interesting name for you to think about when it comes to a trade. Miles Wood.
Let me look up the cap number. I'm on cap friendly all the time. So Miles Wood makes $2.75 million, and he also has next year.
Mm-hmm. I think he has 9 goals this year, somewhere around there. He's a double-digit scorer that would play in the bottom 6.
9 goals, 4 assists, 13 points.
But he also has 2 other years where he's hit double. I think he had a year where he almost hit 20. I think he had a 19-goal season or something like that. 17, 19, somewhere around there. I think he had another 14-goal season.
He had a 19-goal season, 10-goal season, 11-goal season. Those are his last 3.
So he's a double-digit goal scorer. I think that would be perfect for the third line, like we're talking about with Jared McCann and Evan Rodriguez, and the speed that line would bring too, because he's a very fast player. I don't know why he doesn't have a bigger role in New Jersey, or why his cap hits that low, or why other teams aren't sniffing around acquiring him, because I haven't heard his name mentioned at all in trade rumors, but he is somebody that I would absolutely love in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and that's the kind of contract I would want too. It's not a rental. It's a low cap number. You can deal with that. It's easy to work with. You wouldn't have to offload as much money as you would for some of these other guys we're talking about. Like Anthony Mantha, as much as I would love to have him on this team, $5.7 million is a lot to pay for like a third line winger.
See, if you get him, it probably has to be a situation where Zucker isn't coming back in the regular season or something like that. So you have his money off the books to go out and get him. And then you probably have to trade one of those guys in the offseason because you can't afford to have them both on the roster next year. And I'm just saying Zucker because I believe that's a relatively similar cap hit, right? Aren't they both somewhere around there, like 5.25, 5.75?
So, yes, Anthony Mantha makes 5.7, and he has 3 years left on his deal after this one. And then Zucker, he's on IR. Hold on. Zucker makes 5.5, and he has 2 years left.
So I think that it would be a situation where it's not necessarily a rental, but it almost is, because you have to move him probably.
You have to pick one
next year.
Which one you want.
Mm-hmm.
No, I get that. I just think the less of a headache and the less cost, because Anthony Mantha is obviously going to cost more than Miles Wood when it comes to a return.
In terms of everything, yeah.
Yeah. So not just cap, but like what you have to give up. So a guy like that, or just a trade like that, I mean, I feel like as much as I'd love, like I said, a guy like Anthony Mantha, the max I would want to go in terms of what they're making on a contract would be similar to like Victor Arvidsson, because he's making like $4.25 million. I feel like I can live with that, and he's not a rental. It's just someone to have that depth scoring, because I feel like both of those guys, Mantha and Arvidsson, those are guys that are capable of playing top 6 lines on their respective teams. But on the Penguins, it would be a really good third line, and that's what we're looking for. If you add McCann, one of those guys, and then Evan Rodriguez, I mean, I feel like I feel bad kind of just like throwing him as the last man in, but that's basically what you are, Evan. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Well, like you said, you want to keep, Bluder, Tanev, and Aston Reese together whenever that's possible. You want to keep Sid lines together whenever it's possible. If Zucker and Gino are healthy, they're going to play together, and Kapanen, the chemistry that he had built with Gino. So, it's kind of like that third line's going to be, and we say third line because that's what we've been talking about. We've been hammering that home. Like, ideally, they make that third line, they just make 1 or 2 tweaks to it where it's good enough to push that Bluder, Tanev, Aston Reese line to be the fourth line, because we think it'd be one of, if not the best fourth lines in hockey. But yeah, it's kind of like Evan Rodriguez just has to, hey, there's one spot, and it's Evan Rodriguez, as of right now, that's slotted in there because he's the only one that's looked like an NHL player out of that, that group. Sam Lafferty, Mark Jankowski, Anthony Angelo honestly hasn't looked bad. I mean, he knows his role. Actually, somewhat decent speed for his size. Good on the boards. Okay shot, but I mean, he is what he is. He's a 13th forward at best.
Yeah, ideally he's not in your lineup when everyone's playing. And then next year, Evan Rodriguez is only on 1-year deal, so next year he would be on the team in that same Poulin spot.
Yeah, you know what? Let's jump there because we've kind of discussed that. But do you think that all these injuries now are, kind of like, do you think somebody's pressing Hextall and Burke saying, you know what, we need to consider some internal options here as opposed to external?
Maybe, but unfortunately, I don't think that those internal options are Sam Poulin or Nathan Laguerre or whoever they want. I think it is like the Redeem Zahorna, like bringing up guys from Wilkes-Barre that are playing well. I don't think they're ready to bring in the guys from Poulin. I don't think they want to just throw them into the fire when they're not ready yet. Not that we wouldn't be ready. We don't know. They could come and perform really well. I just don't think they want to take that chance on them yet and like kind of ruin them. Not ruin them, but like if they come up and they perform terribly, that could hurt their confidence and hurt themselves going forward. So I think they want to take their time with those guys at least the rest of this year. I don't think we're going to see them.
Do you think that they come up together?
If they do, I think the only way they come up together is if they like start the season on the roster together. Because I don't see them like just pulling them up at the same time in a certain season like next year. But I think there's a very real chance that Sam Poulin makes a team out of camp next year. And Nathan Laguerre, I mean, depending on his development, he could be close. But I guess that also depends on what your team looks like next year based off trades and stuff. I mean, if we trade for one of these guys that have some years left on their contract and isn't a rental, that's another spot for one of these guys that's blocking them essentially. And like we said, we went through all the lines. There's not really much. If everyone's healthy in the ideal world, there's only really one spot that we see as replaceable.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to see a scene similar to Jared McCann and Nick Bukestad arriving at PPG Paints Arena with Sam Poulin and Nathan Laguerre. That's why I'm asking.
And then play on the same line.
Yeah.
That'd be sick.
Running into their arena drinking Red Bulls.
Yeah.
Or whatever they were pounding 5-hour energies or whatever they were.
It'd be awesome. And I'd love to see them be up here. Let's be honest. I would totally be okay if they brought both of them out from juniors right now, because I can guarantee, at least offensively, they're better than the crap that's on the bottom two lines right now. So I would be on board with it. Is it going to happen? No.
Those two already have chemistry. The bottom six right now is just a bunch of fringe NHL players thrown together that have zero clue of how to play with each other.
And it shows clearly. They look terrible. Like Anthony Angelo is the only one that's in the bottom six right now where I'm like, okay, I can live with you being there for right now. Everyone else, I just want send to the freaking sun. They suck.
Well, I brought up Freddie Gaudreau. You haven't liked what you've seen from him?
Oh yeah, no, he's been good. He's the one I would rather him play over Jankowski, and I would rather to Redeem Zahorna get a chance over Jankowski. Jankowski is the one that I just want to throw him in the Ohio River and get him out of here.
You ever wonder, not that 17 goals is like a world-beating number, like he's some elite level scorer, but do you ever wonder how on earth that guy scored 17 goals in a season?
I want to look at what his PDO was that season.
And I think he had 14 the following season and had I think he had a higher point total that second year that he had just 14.
I just don't get the drop off. I mean, I know players do have drop offs, but it's not like this guy's like an older player that is hitting a wall. Like he's 26 or something like that. 27.
Yeah, I think somewhere around. So, yeah, and he was a first round pick. I mean, not that means a whole lot, but
let me see. I'm just curious. So in 2017 and 2018, those are the 2 years that he scored those games. And then let's see, 2017-18 PDO. Well, he actually had a less, like his PDO was less than 100, so he was unlucky, and still put up those numbers.
So he should have been a 20-goal scorer.
I mean, who was he on a line with? I have no idea.
Like, was that in Calgary? Or?
Yeah, he was playing in Calgary. So I mean, if he's a first round pick, maybe he was playing with like Gaudreau or something. I have no idea how he scores all those goals.
Yeah, because it's not even like, I wouldn't even say we're seeing a shell of it here. Like, we're seeing nothing close to that player. And again, the most like frustrating thing for me is he hasn't even been good defensively. Like when his line is out on the ice, they're just getting caved in their own zone.
Mm-hmm. Literally zero production.
Zero production and zero protection.
44.5% Corsi. And Lafferty is 43.5%. So that line is just a defensive nightmare.
Is that higher than Lafferty's? Did you look?
Yeah, Lafferty's is 43.5%.
Oh,
Jankowski's is 44.5%. So he's one higher.
There you go, Mark.
Higher. But still absolute dog water.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you think though, like from based off what you've seen recently, how are you expecting these next couple of games against Buffalo to go?
Well, you're playing the worst team.
I think they got some injuries in net too. Like I don't even think that they have Carter Hutton right now.
I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say if you don't come away with 4 points.
Yeah. Their goalies are Dustin Tokarski and Michael Hauser. So those are the two goalies we're going to see because we do play back-to-back. So it's not going to be the same guy. We're going to play both of them.
Right. So I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say if you don't come away with 4 points, then that's a disappointment. I know that your team is bad right now, but I can't say the same thing about Buffalo that I can about New Jersey when I say that New Jersey's roster right now is probably better put together than the Penguins.
Yeah.
Buffalo, I can't really say that. I mean, they're missing Jack Eichel. The rest of the team just sucks. So I think that if you lose a game, especially in regulation, if you lose in regulation, I mean, to Buffalo, what are we doing here? I mean, the only reason that not the only reason they lost the game on Sunday against New Jersey, but they lost in overtime. If Tristan Jarry is on his post and not forward enough, he can get over and stop that goal from happening. So maybe the Penguins.
Did you notice too? If Mike Matheson doesn't have his stick the way that it does, that's not even like he's going to throw that out past Jarry. Like he's going to go in front of the crease.
Yeah,
it's just unfortunate.
I mean, you can't blame it on one play, but it's just a lot of unfortunate events. But the fact you look into this game coming up, you hope you see at least any form of life in the bottom six. I don't care if it's just they get one of them gets an assist whenever Sid hops on the ice and scores. I just want to see something. And I hope to see some more chemistry between McCann and Kasperi-Kapanen as well in the time that Malkin's
they're going to play with Zach Aston Reese now as opposed to Evan Rodriguez. So does that? I mean, I don't know. We haven't seen them play a game yet, those three together. So I don't know how it looked in practice today. Are you pro that move of the switching of Zach Aston Reese or Evan Rodriguez, or does that not move the needle for you at all anyway?
I'm pro that move. The way that Zach Aston Reese has been playing, especially offensively this year, I think he's been really good and better than he has been in past years. And I think anything to make your top two lines, at least right now, better is good because you might as well put all your skill on the top two lines because you're wasting it if you put anybody on those bottom two.
It's funny because I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if you were going to say that, but that's what I was going to say because I don't know if you saw Jeff's tweet. It's like when your bottom two lines are as bad as they are, like there's no point in like trying to spread out like talent to try to help them.
No,
just top load the top six and play with two lines essentially.
Honestly, I don't even care about the time on ice. I know Sid's willing to play like 40 minutes a game.
That would be something, dude. I mean, he played like 8 minutes or something like that in the first period of Sunday's game, which was like the most he's played in the first period in a long time. And I was like, this dude might get close to 30 tonight.
For the way that some of these people play on the penalty kill as well, I want Sid to play on the penalty kill and Gensel and Rust. Literally play the top line on the penalty kill because they're one of the only lines that's good in their own end.
Yeah.
Because like Jankowski's supposed to be a good penalty killer. Where's that been? He's not good defensively this year. So if they're not going to be good defensively, don't have them on the penalty kill. I would rather have Sid out there.
Man, do I miss not that they were killing penalties the penalty kill hasn't been great this year, but the way that when they are at their best, Tanev and Bluder actually create chances shorthanded. Mm-hmm. It's fun to watch. I mean, I don't know what's up with it. I think it's just a style thing. I think it's their scheme for killing penalties is just so bad right now. And I go back to I've been saying this all year. No idea what Todd Reardon's doing right now. I have no idea why he was brought back.
Absolutely nothing. What is our hold on? I want to look at what is our second power play unit.
Oh God, I think Anthony Angelo's on it
because the first power play unit has to be.
Wait, can I? I'm gonna guess before if you find it before you say it. I'm gonna guess it's Marino.
Matheson, on which one? Second one.
Second power play unit.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess it's Marino, Matheson, McCann, Rodriguez, and Angelo.
That is it exactly. Yeah. I mean, your top one is pretty much your power play minus.
And Kasperi Kapanen has looked terrible in that first unit. By the way, it just looked so out of place trying to play that point.
Honestly, would you hate having put Chris Letang and Brian Dumoulin together on the top power play unit?
I feel like you might as well. At least you're not going to give up as many chances going the other way shorthanded.
Yeah, and I feel like you could add Kasperi Kapanen into that second unit.
Yeah,
and try to just shake it up a little bit.
I get the idea with Angelo. They're just we've talked about it so many times this year. Trying to replicate Patrick Hornquist in some fashion, it's
who has 14 goals, by the way.
Yeah, it's not working. It's not replaceable with anybody that's on this roster. Zach Aston Reese was supposed to be that guy, although credit to if Jake Gensel were built that way, he would be able to do it. That dude can deflect anything that comes his way. But you don't want him to play that way though either. I don't want him getting hurt trying to.
No, it's kind of like we've said with Sid before. Sid does a lot of his best work in front of the net, getting dirty goals and deflecting pucks. But he gets beat up so much back there that you don't want that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, I think that's about it. Unless you have anything else.
No, I think that's pretty much it. It's just a lot of injuries, a lot of annoying stuff going on. I'm looking at the daily face-off lines right now. Holy crap. That's a lot of just terrible people. Oh my gosh.
And that's the thing is, we're so down right now and talking about a few losses because of the way that the lineup is. But when this team's healthy, I'm very encouraged because of what we saw before these guys started going down. So hopefully everybody comes back healthy sooner rather than later. And once playoff time comes, we don't see these injuries pile up again.
So Daily Faceoff has their own rankings of individual players. And the top line, Gensel's the number 6 left wing, Crosby's the number 7 center, and Rust is the number 13 right wing. And
Whoa. Who are the 12 right wingers that are higher than Brian Rust?
I don't know. I'm not going to look into that right now, but they have that as the number 3 first line in hockey.
Okay.
Which, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But then after that, you got Kasperi Kapanen is the 87th right wing, Jared McCann's the 72nd center, and Evan Rodriguez 88th left wing. And then that drops to 29th. And it's a second line in hockey. Zach Aston Reese is 143rd left wing. Mark Jankowski, 160th center.
Oh, that's not actually as. I don't know how many qualify for this. Is it literally everybody qualifies?
Probably people that have played, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
But even think about that. You have 4 centers, 4 times 30 is 100, 30 is 120. So 120.
That's why I'm surprised that Zach Aston Reese is that low.
So there's 124 centers, well, roughly in the NHL that play. So I don't know. Sam Lafferty's 110, Colton Seaver's 121, Gaudreau's unrated, and Anthony Angelo is the number 69 right wing. Nice.
Are you sure for Gaudreau that doesn't mean underrated?
Maybe it does mean underrated. And we have the number 12 top pairing in the NHL. And we have the number 2 third pairing in the NHL.
Really?
Yeah. With Marino and Pettersson.
Yeah. That's interesting.
Yeah, for how Pettersson's been playing, I'm surprised.
Not a lot of time together, I guess. I don't know how those are figured out, but yeah, small sample size for those two together this year.
Either way, I think it's just funny, the massive drop off after that first line.
Like I said, you have one elite line, one okay line, and 2 lines that shouldn't be there.
Oh well, I'm hoping that McCann, Aston Reese, Kapanen line looks good, get some scoring from the top line, and then the other lines, I really don't care if they play or not.
Okay, so yeah, you got nothing else. Just tell people about the sponsors of this show, and we will get out of here. Next time we see you guys, there's no Penguin game next Monday, right? So we'll be doing a mock draft Monday.
Yeah.
Mock draft Monday. Might see if we can get either Noah or Donnie or both to join us for that one. And then we'll have our Pirates and Pens show. And at that point, we'll be, like 1 day before opening day for the Pirates? So, yeah. And we'll be, like, just a month away pretty much from the live draft special, which is going to be awesome. So.
Oh, wait, the Penguins do play Monday.
Oh, okay. Well, scratch what I said at first there. Who do they play on Monday?
Islanders.
Oh, that's right. Saturday, Monday series. Okay. Well, scratch the mock draft Monday part I just said.
They don't play Wednesday, though. They play Thursday. So we will have this show on Wednesday like we normally do.
So they're off Tuesday.
Yeah, they're off. They're off Tuesday and Wednesday.
All right, maybe we'll do something. We'll talk about it, but either way, Keith's Barbershop, which is an old-fashioned barbershop. He's located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. He's open 11 to 7 Tuesday through Friday and 10 to 4 on Saturday. Every Tuesday, he does $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses. Again, that's Keith's Barbershop at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. And I'm also, if you guys notice on our not the ticker, but right above it, where it says sponsored by, you guys will notice a new sponsor there, Viget. So essentially it's like a social media app for sports bettors to all get together. We create a leaderboard and see where you ranked at the end of the month. I recently just started our league, so hit us up, DM me or the Around the 412 page or Tyler to get involved, and we'll send you the link to get in on it. Essentially just, like I said, it ranks where your bets are. You place your bets right on there with the points that you have, and you talk trash. I mean, we're so bad. Like, if you guys remember going back to the Steelers show, like, our bets, we're so bad that we're not going to win. So this is a competition for you guys to see how much better you are than us, because we already know that that's the case. And we might do like something like you accumulate points on there for Amazon gift cards, T-shirts, sports memorabilia. Right now, there's a PS5 on there. I don't know if anybody's going to touch the amount of points necessary for that. But that's neither here nor there. But at the end of the month, we might do something like we give away like a hoodie or a hat or something like that to whoever's at the top of the leaderboard. So download the Viget app, use the referral code Crowworthy, and get on the action. Like I said, you'll have to hit us up separately to get the link to join our specific Around the 412 leaderboard. But download the app and then reach out to us, and we'll get you in for sure. Other than that, thanks for listening to Around the 412. This has been a presentation of Crowworthy. Winners are serving winners coast to coast with sports, gambling, fantasy, and more. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Around the 412. Follow them at Crowworthy Takes, and visit the Pittsburgh City page at crowworthy.com for podcasts just like this one, blogs by your boys, and so much more. Until next time, we'll talk to you then. Bye-bye.